In the meantime, I'll read the question. Anna has asked, do you have a method of teaching children with dyscalculia? I have a grandchild with that, and she is 16 years old and has no number sense. Must the kids in your country with dyscalculia take math in higher levels?
Great question, Anna. We don't have a technique, and I don't think we know enough about it. There are some researchers working on the idea of brain plasticity, where they use computer trials over and over and over, 10,000, choosing which are more dots and so on, is it 2 dots or 4 dots, which is more, all those sorts of things over and over and over, aiming to train the neural pathways. As far as I know, they haven't had success yet. Personally, I think that's cruel and unusual punishment. I can't think of anything more boring. And so if it is a brain difference, then what we need to be thinking about is, okay, the part of the brain that would normally process quantity and an understanding of quantity is not working. What these people are doing are using other neural circuits, and that's how they actually diagnose this in typical population. They compare how long they take to do these sorts of calculations to see, are they doing it instantly or are they using these slower neural circuits? You can imagine, because people with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities typically take longer to do things, that wouldn't work, so we need another way. But for people in the general population who have dyscalculia, it is one of the things, because they're using other neural circuits, then what we want to do, I would think, is provide as many opportunities as we can to use those other circuits. One of the things that we need to have is a mental number line, so a sense of where the numbers are in relation to each other, and that's typically missing in people with dyscalculia. So having a number line visible all the time can be very powerful. So it could be in a classroom, up on the wall. For a student, it can be on their books. But the other thing is, for somebody who has dyscalculia, a calculator is the device that will help them work around it. And in my country, yes, to finish year 12, you do need to do mathematics. They can do any sort of mathematics, and so often for kids who are behind, they will do very simple calculation. And kids with dyscalculia, that's the exact stuff they can't do. So what we would suggest here is give them a calculator, stop asking them to do simple calculations that they can't do, but with support, do other mathematics, and that they're good at. And I must admit that I use my calculator more often than I should, perhaps, and certainly now I'm not in a classroom doing mental computation all the time. I'm really slowing down, and I do find a calculator everywhere. There on my phone, I can look around my room here at the moment. I've got calculators everywhere, and it's not because I need them for support. They're just available. They're on my computer. They're just around. So it is a very, very accessible accommodation, and it's really something that, I liken it to people who need glasses. We don't tell people, you got to show me you can read without them before you're allowed to wear your glasses. And that's the equivalent. If you can't do calculation and you make people do it by hand or mentally before you'll let them use a calculator, it's just not going to work. And so it's an adjustment they need. So I hope that's helpful, Anna.
Rhonda, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, now in our schools, in the secondary schools, maths is compulsory up to grade 12. So they take it, the core maths, up to grade 9. And then they must choose between maths literacy and core maths. But then this grandchild of mine, she got a concession. My daughter adopted her. It's a black child, and she has the alcohol syndrome, or what do you call it?
Yeah, fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they get the concession, but they must take it up to grade 9. And then they can choose any other subject. They needn't take the maths lit. But it's difficult then to get a school where they can choose 4 subjects that need no numbers. I mean, she can't take accounting, she can't take economy, she can't take science. So there's so few subjects. But I was thinking, when
Yeah.
you told me your daughter said
Mm.
$8 and $8 is $9, I once took her to the nursery to buy a potting soil, and I gave her a 100 Rand note and 2 10 Rand notes, and I think she was about 14. And I asked her, because I was too dirty to get out, she must go and buy it. And how many change must you get? And so I said, Deneo, she's going to take the 100 Rand and the 110 Rand. And from the other 10 Rand, the woman must take 9 Rand. How many change must you get? And she didn't know. And I said, what comes before 10? And she said 11.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
exactly what you said.
that's another typical expression of dyscalculia, that it's like the alphabet. So if you think what's before L, most people have to go forward to think what comes before L. So that's a very difficult thing. We're fortunate in our country, just about everything now is pay on a card, tap and go, so we don't have to do that sort of thing. But I think a lot of those subjects, like science, can be done by a student with dyscalculia. My daughter did biology in year 11 and 12, so with support it can be done. But maybe if you want to email me, we could perhaps keep a conversation going. I might be able to suggest some adjustments.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.